Good evening, precinct organizers for House District 18. Welcome to our first webinar get together. In normal times, we would have been sitting around face to face and getting to know each other. What we're going to do today is this evening is just have a short 1-hour meeting. And what I wanted to do was have you meet two candidates that all of you are going to be working for Marc Snyder. He's our House District 18 representative and up for re-election. But half of the House District also is in County Commission 3, which Ken Schauer is the candidate. So I wanted to take this opportunity to have you meet them, hear a little bit about them, get you excited to get out and work for them. So basically, we're going to have both of them talk to us, give us some information, and then we're going to have a Q&A session. And that could be questions about anything about being the precinct organizer, questions for Marc and Ken, whatever, just a wide open question and answer session. What I would like to do before we have Ken and Marc speak is to have each of you say your name, what precinct you're in, and what part of town your precinct is in. And I just think it's important that we just kind of, start to get to know each other a little bit. So Chandra Wilkins, who's just like the superwoman of webinar, you don't need to raise your hand. She'll just be acknowledging you and turning your microphone on. I was trying to look, Chandra, to see if I could help with that, but I'm not seeing how to do that. It says I cannot take control. So okay. Are you in a position, Chandra, where you could go ahead and start having people say their name, your precinct, and what part of town your precinct's located in?
Okay, we will start with, I believe it is Anastasia. And you are self-muted, so if you can unmute.
Hi there. Can you hear me?
Yep, we can. If you can tell us what part of town you're from.
I'm from downtown, precinct 77, like around the corner of Dutch and St. Vrain.
All right, thank you. Next is Barry, and you are self-muted also.
Yes, there we go. I turned it on. It's Barry Smith, precinct 722. Brand new precinct organizer. We're over here by Bear Creek Park and into Cheyenne Canyon.
Okay, thank you. Next is Candace. Candace, you are self-muted.
Hi there, I'm Candace. I'm in precinct 176, and that's the CC campus and the 3 blocks surrounding it. So I'm one of the few non-CC students who's a part of that precinct.
Thanks, Candace.
All right, next it looks like there is Kate.
Hello, is that
Hello?
for me?
Yes.
This is Kate Brady, and I am one of the co-organizers for Precinct 724, which is in the Ivywild neighborhood. Our precinct was larger and was split in half, so we are the eastern half of the original 724, and I think that's it. And I'm so glad that Barry, hello there, Barry. Good to hear that you're with us.
Okay, thank you. Next we have, I believe it is Cecilia Jacobs. You are unmuted if you'd like to tell us where you're from. Okay, so we'll go ahead and move forward. The next one is Connie. Connie, you are self-muted.
Hi, I'm Connie. I think I'm representing precinct 110. Kind of an interesting situation because I just moved, but I'm from I guess the area just west of downtown, kind of close to Bijou.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm getting feedback from some of the staff, so I have muted everybody else, and we'll just go through the list and then we'll come back and unmute staff. Next is Daniel. You are self-muted, Daniel.
Okay, is that good here?
Yeah.
So I'm Daniel. I'm also from 724, same as Kate, the Ivy Wild neighborhood. And this is my first time getting involved with this. So yeah, just eager to get learning everything and get started.
All right, thank you. Next we have David. David, you are live.
It's Dave Anderson, Precinct 170, North End from Fillmore to about Fontanero along Cascade.
All right, thank you for joining us tonight. Next we have Deanna. Deanna? If you can hear us, you can tell us where you're from. Okay, we'll go on to Debbie.
Hi, everybody. I'm Debbie Sagan. I am Precinct 744, and I live up the street from Marc Snyder in Manitou Springs.
All right, thank you very much. Next we have Elaine.
Yes,
Elaine?
good evening, everyone. I live at the end of 8th Street on the west side, so we must be we are one of the new precincts, I assume. So west of 8th Street at the very end of 8th Street and to the west. I'm sorry. Yeah, it's past my bedtime. Sorry.
Thank you very much. All right, next we have Ellen. Ellen?
Hi, I'm Ellen. I live between 21st and 26th Street and just south of Cimarron. And I don't know my precinct number, but when you get to Lynn, it's hers.
All right, fantastic. Thank you very much. Next is James. James?
Hello, this is Jim Mikely. I'm a first-time precinct organizer. My precinct is 133. It's between 25th Street and 30th, I believe, north of King Street and south of Fontanero.
Very good. Thank you for joining us. Next, we have John Davis. John, you are self-muted.
Hi, my name is John Timothy Davis. I go by Tim. My precinct is 172, and it's in the Old North End.
All right, thank you for joining us. And next we have John, and I'm going to butcher the last name, so I'm not going to try it. You are self-muted though.
Hey, how's it going? This is John Dervage. I don't blame you for not trying to pronounce it. I've heard a lot of different ways to pronounce my last name. So yeah, I'm kind of helping. I don't quite know if I'm going to be a precinct organizer or helper, but between Connie and I, we're going to be helping 110, which is kind of in like the old Colorado neighborhood that Connie was describing earlier, kind of by Colorado Street, around like the 27th Street area. So yeah, excited to help out and take a stab at being a precinct organizer.
Awesome, thanks for joining us. All right, next we have John Thomas. John, you are live.
John Thomas. I've been scrambling around to confirm my precinct, but I'm sure Judy will let me know if I'm wrong. It's 168, and it's north of Colorado College and north almost to Fillmore.
All right, thanks for joining us. Next we have Judith. And you are self-muted, Judith.
Okay.
Good evening. This is Judith McKay, and I'm with Precinct 112, and I have done this before, but we won't be walking this year. And I'm looking forward to working with other people.
Well, thanks for joining us tonight. Next, we have Kent. Kent, you are self-muted.
Right, how do I?
You're good now.
All righty, Kent Borges, Precinct 108. It's on the Mesa west of I-25 and north of Uinta.
All right, fantastic. Thanks for joining us. Next, we have Lynn.
Hey, it's Lynn Goodwin, and I am the precinct organizer along with Deanna Armstrong and Ellen Clark of 118, and I want to thank Judy and all of your friends for putting this together for us.
All right, thanks for joining us. All right, let's see. The next is, I believe it is Muriah. I am sorry if...
I'm Muriah Allen, and that's fine. Everybody gets it eventually. And I'm precinct 742, which goes from Becker's Lane along Manitou Avenue up to the incline. And it's a good swatch of Manitou. So I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you for joining us. Let's see. Next, I have Nancy. Nancy, you're live.
Nancy Holt? Hello?
Yes. Yes.
Is it Nancy Holt?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I'm co-organizer with Kay Welch for Precinct 114. I'm in the Gold Hill Mesa area.
All right, thanks for joining us. Next is Paul Adler.
Unmuted.
Paul.
Hi, Paul Adler, Precinct 178, which is Mid-Shooks Run.
And I'm Erin. I'm the other organizer for Precinct 170.
All right, thank you guys for joining us. All right, next we have Percy. Go ahead, you're live. Percy, are you here?
Did you say Percy Pellerin?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I'm the brand new chair organizer with a real shaky connection, but I'll soldier on here. My precinct is 112.
Okay, thank you very much. Next we have Rada. Rada, you are live.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Great. I'm a co-chair with Tim Davis in 172, and it's the Patty Jewett neighborhood. And if you kind of go around Patty Jewett, 2 or 3 blocks in each direction, that's where we are. And I really love it because the people are very heavy Democrat, and they are very positive. And Tim is great to work with.
All right,
And you guys,
thank you.
Thanks for doing this.
No problem. All right, next is Richard. Richard, you are live.
Hi, I'm Richard, and I think the precinct number is 218, but I had switched last year and now I can never remember it. But I am just east of downtown on Moreno and co-PCP with Ultra, I'm pretty sure.
All right, fantastic. Thanks for joining us. All right, and last is Stephanie. She is self-muted. Muted.
Oh, I am unmuted. Hi, I'm having a lot of tech trouble over here. This is Stephanie Vigil. I am not actually in the district, but I manage Ken Schauer's County Commission campaign. So I am chiming in for this.
All right.
And I will mostly be hands off. I'm just here to listen and
All
be
right.
of help. All right.
Thanks for joining us.
And hey, Chandra, this is Barbara Novi. I'm going to show as staff on your list because I am listed often as a co-host for these items. As precinct organizer for 107, Ken is down the street from me, and we live in the Mesa Springs neighborhood between Fillmore and Uinta along Chestnut.
Thanks for joining us.
Cheers.
All right, Judy, you're unmuted again.
Okay, well, thank you. And I got to tell you, this is such a wonderful turnout. I am just so impressed. And I want to thank you all for taking on this job. And if there's, anything I can do, you all have my contact info. Please let me know. And I especially would like to hear from those of you who are new. The other thing is, I know several of you already have taken van training or minivan training or the 101, logged into the study hall. So thank you. I really appreciate all you're doing to really get yourself up and running to be the precinct organizers. Okay, as I said, we're here primarily to hear from Ken and Mark. I want to introduce Marc Snyder. He is the House District 18 representative, and he's up for re-election. State representatives are elected every 2 years, the state senators every 4 years. So Mark is the candidate that we're all going to be out working for. And I know there's going to be other candidates, and we'll talk about that. But Mark is our House District 18 candidate. So Mark, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what's going on?
Well, thank you, Judy, and thank you, Chandra, for putting this together. I know we all rely on Chandra extremely much. Hopefully I don't sound like Darth Vader, like most folks apparently have a little bit of that going on. So I apologize if the connection is not great. As Judy said, I'm in my first term in the State House of Representatives. Had a long career in local politics, starting back in the mid-90s. Where I've served on just about every board and commission in El Paso County. I served in Manitou Springs on the Open Space Committee, Planning Commission, Council, and ultimately 6 years as mayor during a very quiet time from 2010 to 2016, which is in a strange way was great preparation for what we're going through now, all of us together with this virus and all the radical changes that have happened. So I'm happy to talk about what's going on in the legislature, what to expect when we reconvene next Tuesday. But first, I just wanted to say it's really great to hear all of your voices. I recognize many of the folks who have been around for a while, and I'm really happy to see so many new folks who are being precinct captains and organizers for the first time. So thank you all very much. It is, we're all still trying to figure out what the campaigns are going to look like this summer. For me, really, it doesn't begin till we eventually adjourn for the session, which right now is scheduled to be at June 12th. But with all the federal action and the potential new money from the HEROES Act, I strongly suspect we'll go back into some type of a special session. Don't know when that'll be, but at some point, because we'll have to incorporate any additional federal dollars into our budget. And obviously that's what our big issue has been. I've been on for about 2 weeks solid now on the JBC hearings, just trying to figure out how we're going to balance a budget with a basically $3.3 billion hole in it. I'm very proud to say that we have done everything we can to preserve school funding and to try and keep the budget stabilization factor steady where it's been. And I'm not happy that we still are $572 million in the hole with that factor. But you know, when we started looking at the 20% across the board cuts for every state agency, that amounted to $800 million for K-12 education, and that was just a bridge too far. So it looks like we've come up with everything you can think of. The JBC has done a great job with that regard. So I think if we do have to add to the budget stabilization, the negative factor, it's going to be as small as possible, but that's still to be determined. But JBC's done with their work. It's going to be up to us in the legislature and specifically the bill sponsors for the School Finance Act to finalize that out. But looking ahead to this summer, you know, I think somebody said it earlier, it's not going to be a traditional campaign. We don't know if there will be any opportunity for door knocking at all. Just 2 days ago, I was here at home and a fella came by trying to sell me on milk delivery, and I almost chased him off with a baseball bat. Somebody shows up at your house with a mask on, and you know, your radar is up. So I just can't see it really. I don't know. Nobody really has a crystal ball, but you know, what happens a lot of times is, you know, we coordinate statewide in races for state office with a group called the House Majority Project, and they kind of coordinate the campaigns, bring a lot of economies of scale. So whether you're buying bulk mailing or ordering digital advertising, they help coordinate that and get us as discounted rates as we can. But it is going to be different this year. I'm really happy to have this opportunity to speak with our precinct organizers, because I believe that's the way it's going to go. There's going to be a lot of phone banking, a lot of phone calling. We're discussing whether or not we can buy burner phones to make that happen easier for people. You know, because even in a phone bank situation, you've got to maintain all the safety protocols and the social distancing and everything else. So in years past, we've gone over to Loose Research and other places and gotten a couple of dozen or more volunteers together and put them in each of those little stalls, and off they go. But the good thing is we have a really great organization, and starting down here at the local El Paso County level with all the great work that Electra Johnson and all the officers down there have done. You know, we had our little bit of a family squabble a few years back, and we've mostly got, I think, beyond that. There's still always a few people that haven't quite let go of stuff, but that's another story. So I'm just really happy and proud of how well they've organized El Paso County. One thing people don't remember, and I have to remind them all the time, is that there are more registered Democrats in El Paso County than there are in Boulder County. So while Boulder gets all the publicity and all the accusation of rampant liberalism, there's more Democrats down here, and that's by virtue of the larger population. So we'll be really trying to focus down on exactly how the campaigns are going to run. I imagine there'll be some mailers, postcards, that type of stuff sent out. It's really, though, I think going to come down to those phone calls and finding a way that we can do that. We'll certainly have a large social media presence and doing a lot of that stuff. I'm hoping to be able to organize as many Zoom calls like we're on right now with Zoom, webinar, whatever, you know, the ultimate vendor is. But I think it's going to be so different without knocking on doors that it's going to be a different way to try and reach people. So I'm really counting on all you folks for your help. You know your precincts the best of anybody. You know the people that, you know, we would want to reach out to who would be interested in maybe you know, doing some phone calls in their neighborhood. And I think we'll still have a grassroots approach, but it'll be a lot different than it's looked in years past. And I know we have some time for questions and answers coming up, and I'm happy to answer any questions about what to expect from this legislative session and what our, you know, overall goals and values are as Democrats. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mark. Judith Daly is the County Commission 3 chair, and Judith is with us on phone. So Judith, you want to go ahead and introduce Ken and talk a little bit about County Commission District 3? Judith? Well, Judith Daly?
Judith is muted. Hold on one second. She just needs to unmute.
Okay.
Okay, have you got me?
Yes.
All right, lovely. Thank you all so much for coming tonight. Yeah, I am so impressed by House District 18. I live in it, and it excites me to be in this liberal part of town. We, County Commission District 3, First of all, it's huge. It extends from Monument all the way down the west side of Highway 25. It goes all the way up to Cascade. It goes all the way past Cheyenne Mountain State Park to the south. And it has a big belly bulge into the east side of I-25, kind of in the central part of town. So it's a massive, massive county commission district. For those of you who are new to this, some of you who've been around for a while know this, there has not been a Democrat on the county commission in El Paso County in 48 years, which means the county commission has basically had no oversight. And this year, I think we're really lucky because I believe that we have a winnable district, and I think we have a winning candidate in Ken Schauer. In 2018, CC3, which includes, and a lot of this is thanks to House District 18, CC3 gave Stephanie Spalding and Jared Polis 47.3% and 47.7% of the vote, which meant that we got a lot of Republicans and independents voting with us. They also sent Marc Snyder and Pete Lee to Denver with very substantial margins in their elections. And that's really exciting news because that means that this precinct is winnable. The other good news came yesterday when the Colorado Springs Independent reported that the Republican Party in El Paso County has lost 5.6% of its registered voters, while Democrats have gained 1%. The majority of that 5.6% has gone to independent voting. However, it would indicate a pretty unhappy dissatisfaction in general, I think, with the Republican Party, and we're probably going to be able to pick some of those folks up as well. Our candidate, Ken Schauer, is a pretty amazing guy. He's a ranch kid from Montana who grew up working hard. He's a strong family man. He's an Air Force vet. He's a licensed electrician. He's a longtime labor organizer, and he's got a deep understanding of how government works through that work. He's been a strong community advocate and activist, and he'll talk to you a little bit about that in just a minute. He has collected endorsements like crazy. Every major labor union in our region pretty much has endorsed him already, along with Marc Snyder. Thank you, Marc. Phil Weiser and Mike Merrifield. And the Working Families Party. The expectation is that he will have very, very strong labor support, which almost all by itself may be able to make up for that 3% difference in the vote. I'm going to let Ken talk now. You're going to like him a lot, I think. Again, welcome all of you. It is so wonderful to have you join us in this way. And like Judy, if there's anything I can do to help, let me know. And I am a longtime precinct chair also, and am real happy to offer advice always to new folks. Okay, over to Ken.
Thank you, Judith. It's very humbling. I appreciate that intro. That was very nice. And thank you, Judy, and thank you, Chandra, for putting this together for us. And thank you, Marc, for being here also. I really appreciate the work you've been doing, and I always love working with you. So it's fun to see you tonight. So yeah, my name's Ken Schauer. I grew up on the northwest corner of Montana, a little town called Libby. It's the asbestos capital of the world. So I know exactly what out of control mining and logging issues can cause in a community, and the number of Superfund cleanup sites that can be created when you allow massive deregulation to happen, and exactly how bad that can impact the working families that live in an area. I joined the Air Force at 21. I spent my 4 years in up at Cheyenne Mountain, which was a lot of fun doing computers. Got out, was a government contractor for a short while. And then when I worked myself out of a job there, I ended up just signing up with the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, and I became a union electrician. So I went through their apprenticeship. As soon as I turned out as a journeyman, I was duly elected to become the treasurer of IBW Local 113. And in that position, when you're staring at about 1,200 electricians, the last thing in the world you want to do is screw up money. So I I went and got my accounting degree so I could understand better exactly what I was looking at when I looked at the financials. And so now I have a degree in accounting also. And, you know, from there, that's what I've been doing. And I was duly elected also to be the president of the Colorado Springs Area Labor Council, and I'm the vice president of the Colorado AFL-CIO. I've worked on many campaigns here in the area, including Marc and Tony Exum's and Pete Lee's and Michael Merrifield's back in the day. I did a lot of stuff with Mike. So their support and guidance has been very essential to me during this time. Electra approached me and asked me to run for this seat. And initially I was like, I don't know if I'm ready for public office, because I have 3 small children. I got a 9-year-old daughter and twin 5-year-old boys. So if you hear some loud banging in the background, that's probably just them destroying the house again. So good thing I want a hammer so I can fix it. But there's a lot, you know, there's a lot there that when I looked at exactly what the county commissioner does, I realized, how could I not be in this position? We desperately need a representative for working families in that position. It oversees all the federal, state, and municipal monies that come in to the county, and make sure that the sheriff's department and the county health and public services are taken care of. That all your little county offices and county assessors and coroners all reports to one central location. It's the executive branch that makes sure that this county runs smoothly. It also oversees zoning and new planning districts within the county itself. And there's a lot of friction between our current county commissioners and the city council that needs to be it needs to go away. You can't have 100 square miles of Colorado Springs smack dab in the middle of a county and have friction between you and the county. That's just ridiculous. So I've already reached out to the county, to the city council members in Colorado Springs to make sure that we can have good working relationship there, and then we don't have the friction. And I know most of Marc's district is right there in Manitou Springs, which is easily my favorite area of town. My wife and I just absolutely love Manitou. We go up there all the time. Obviously not right now with COVID-19, but we love going up there. And it's such an important part of this community, and it has so much character and so much. The people there are so impressive to me. The number of artists and the number of free spirits that I find that I have a kindred soul with. So thank you ever so much for all of you who live in Marc's district for showing up tonight. This is really impressive to me. It really is humbling. How we're going to win this district, we're lucky. Electra softened it up for us. She did a very good job of getting close. She didn't enter the election. She didn't enter the race until March, until county caucus, county assembly. So we got in way early. Last year at this time, we already had a campaign staff together. We started reaching out to the key, to keep organizations and groups to make sure that we can have the ground game to win this race. Now, obviously, the ground game had a grenade tossed in the middle of it. So now we have to go to plan B, which is fine because I'm an electrician and I'm used to going to plan B because my plan A never works. So plan B for us is going to involve making sure that we get out into the neighborhoods in a socially distancing aware way. We got a trailer, we're going to decorate it up, we got some flags, we got some banners, we're going to drive along, and we got a PA system, a noise waiver from the county, so from the city. So we're going to go ahead and make some noise, and we're going to get people to look out their window and say, yeah, who the heck is that? So that's kind of an old school method, and it's when I explained this to the working family parties people today, they were all excited about it because evidently that's the only way you can win entire districts in New York City. So they were super excited that was getting used out in Colorado. So I'm stoked to get this done, and then we'll start in precinct 113. That's Terry Martinez's precinct on Saturday between 11 and 1, and we're going to make some noise. So if you're not doing anything, come on down to precinct 113 and wave us on. So I'm excited about your questions and concerns. My biggest issues so far have been affordable housing, how we're going to address that, and also the homeless issue that our homeless brothers and sisters are facing, and how can we alleviate some of that problem. So there's much that I've dived into and I've looked into in innovative solutions, and I hope that we can bring a fresh voice that does good work right here in this county. So, and we're going to win this one, especially with your help. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ken and Marc. And just to kind of clarify again, about half of the precincts are in County Commission 3. The other half, you may have a County Commission election going on, you may not. Some of you will have a Senate election going on, some of you will not. So as a precinct organizer, you know, we're going to be working to elect a lot of people. So it's not like you're just going to be making, you know, a phone call or a lip drop for only Mark or only Ken, and you're going, oh my God, Judy, how can I be out doing this, you know, 10 times for 10 different candidates? You know, we're all going to work together and make sure that we get these Democrats, you know, make sure Mark gets back to the House because he's an absolutely wonderful representative, and we definitely need someone like Ken on the county commission. So we're just going to do everything that we can, and I'm asking you to do that, to commit to making sure we get these 2 Democrats elected. Okay. We're going to go ahead and do some Q&A, and I'm going to try to stick to we're going to stick to the having this over at like 8:04 since we started a little bit late. If you need to leave earlier, that's fine. We're going to do some question and answer session, and then about the last few minutes, in fact, maybe let me do this now. So if the question and answer wants to go, people want to stay another 10 minutes for question and answers, they can. So let me do this. Right now, as precinct chairs, the thing that I kind of want you to be thinking of is your big task is going to be to get out the vote for the primary that's being held on June 30th. And this is where we're going to decide who our U.S. Senate candidate is going to be. It's going to be a pretty important election. There may be a few other contests too that you'll vote in. But the idea is to get all the Democrats in your precinct out to vote. The state wants us to really focus on this and make sure we kind of are getting Democrats in the habit of voting. So it will be to get out the vote. And some things that you need to do to be able to do that is to learn how to use Van, also learn how to use Minivan. This is going to kind of tell you how to make lists. And if you, for whatever reason, Van doesn't work for you, we will get you lists of people to call or decide how we're going to do this. We're going to have more information. But if you could get some training in Van, take that 101 class, do the minivan, go to the website. If you go to the El Paso County Dem Party website, click on resources, click on precinct organizers, there is all the information you need, how to sign up and go take some of these trainings, of course, all online. There's also the manual from the state for precinct organizers, which is really good to take a look and kind of read through that. There's a toolkit that you can look at that has some things for you. And again, I'm here. Shoot me some emails, call me, text me, and we will make sure you get what you need. So again, your focus is to be thinking of getting out the vote in your precinct for the primary. And these are some of the tools, some of the things that you're going to need to kind of look at and get trained in to be able to get out that vote. Also, Amy Pascal has sent out 2 really good emails. If for some reason you have not gotten it, the first one was sent on the 21st of April. So look in your mail, and it has all the information about all kinds of trainings and things. And then she sent one out on the 3rd of May that actually has the training schedule. So if you haven't looked at those, look at those. If you don't have them, you deleted them, whatever, you need those, email me and I will forward those to you, because again, lots of good information. Okay, we're going to go to questions and answers now. Chandra, do you want to just kind of tell us how that works?
Well, we can do questions and answers one of 2 ways. If you would like to ask a question live, you are welcome to use the raise hand feature. The button should be up on your panel. If you don't have your panel, then all you have to do is find your little snowflake icon and press the snowflake icon. It will bring your panel back up for you. And when that panel comes back up, then you will see the hand so that you can raise the hand. You can also type it into your question box, which is down below in the same dashboard. So again, if you don't see a chat box, click that snowflake icon. And I currently have no questions, so that you know. Oh, I have one. Hold on. It looks like. Go ahead.
Hi. Since we can't necessarily have assemblies in the park, is there any complication in having Zoom meetings with constituents?
No, that is something that you can do. And in fact, I was hoping Bob Nemenick had signed in. He and Cecilia Jacobs, who is here, they're going to be trying to do some kind of Zoom meeting with their precinct.
Yes,
so
exactly.
If you have the capability to do that, and I do have a list, I know you need an email to send a link. I do have a list of emails that are for each precinct. They're 2 years old. They're from the last caucus. So they're about 2 years old, but that would be even a place to start. I'm not sure. We can probably get you an updated list of emails if you're thinking you want to do some kind of Zoom meetings or something like that.
Judy, Judy, are you getting your list from Van?
No, I had these old lists, and I'm on Van, but I haven't used Van in a couple years, and so I was trying to do some lists, and some worked and some didn't. So I'm going to go back to a study hall and get some training next week, because I wasn't being very successful in pulling up exactly what I wanted. But you can certainly get your email lists from. Emails are not in Van. For some reason, you cannot pull emails out of Van, but Tim Dolan, our kind of data guru, he has created a program where you can get email lists from this other data source. So if you're interested in that.
I'll take it offline so that, and call you later, so I don't take too much time. Thank you.
Or I was going to say, if anyone wants an email list, to send me an email, and then I can forward that to Tim Dolan, give him a little explanation, and he can connect and get that taken care of, okay? So email me if you want an updated email list for your precinct.
Okay, and then I have a question from Nancy Holt. The question is for Ken. What are your ideas for solving the homeless issue and the affordable housing issue?
Wow, that's a really big question. So let's tackle affordable housing first. No, let's tackle homelessness first. Step number one would be to the county public health and safety should be in charge of this. I don't know if you're familiar with Andrew Phelps. He is the city of Colorado Springs homeless guru. The county really needs to have a position like that carved out and created and made immediately. That'd be step number one, to analyze the issues and to make sure that we have the resources being put towards helping alleviate our homeless situation that we have running rampant in this county. Number two, I would really like to do is and I've reached out already to a few people who are either running for county commissioner throughout the state or are already county commissioners, friendly Democrats. And I've talked about putting together a county commissioner roundtable. So that way we can all come together. We bring, one representative from each county commission into roundtables to discuss how we can alleviate the homeless situation, because it doesn't just start in Colorado Springs, it doesn't start in Manitou, it starts everywhere. It starts in La Junta, Salida, and then it migrates into areas. So the problem to alleviate that would be a statewide coordinated effort to work on the county levels to work on rapid rehousing programs, which has been proven the most effective way to alleviate the homeless situation. And so I think that between all that, we can definitely brainstorm some phenomenal ideas. We get all those bright minds in one huge Zoom meeting. I bet you we can have breakout sessions and really get some good stuff going. Now, on affordable housing, there's a whole series of things that we can do. One of the ones, a couple of the ideas that have been springing up lately that we've been talking about is a lot of people are really worried about the affordable housing going into their neighborhood impacting their home prices. And there has been a strategy used in this country for many years whenever you're worried about home prices in an area being impacted by an influx of people. And that is there's actually mortgage insurance that you can get that protects the home value of your house, and that would be underwritten by the county and the state. And so that would be something that Marc and I could work on and getting the legislation crafted as needed, and that'd be a phenomenal tool that we could have to help protect your home values if an affordable housing unit goes up right next to you and you're worried about the price of your house plummeting. Number two, we'd have to do I was warned not to get too wonkish. I really do like the details on all this stuff though. So number two is we need to make sure that anything that's allocated as affordable housing stays affordable housing from person to person. So deed receivership, deed trust protections, so that way the deed itself is protected from point A to point B, from sale to sale for decades. So that affordable housing unit is affordable housing unit is affordable housing unit, no matter how many people move in and out of it. And then there's also zoning issues and caveats that you can put on any kind of new zoning permits for housing districts, that they have to develop a certain percentage of affordable units. So sorry if that was really long, but that was an excellent question. I love those. So.
Okay, thank you. The next question comes from John Thomas. And his question is, do we know the opponents of Ken and Marc? So I don't know if you want to let Marc answer that and then let Ken answer that.
So that was about my opponent in this race, was the question?
Yes.
There is a Republican who, and I think it was mentioned before, but the Republican Party of El Paso County, I have never seen them so disorganized, so divided, and so, frankly, inefficient and useless right now. So I think that adds greatly to our chances of having more Democrats elected this year. Every incumbent in El Paso County, state senator or representative, petitioned onto the ballot. They have no confidence in their party. The party has nominated a few people. My opponent is a fellow named George Rapko, and I've had a really hard time getting any real information on him. He lives down in the Ivy Wild neighborhood. He likes beer, but other than that, I don't really know. He was kind of a thorn in the side, a gadfly, a troublemaker, so to speak, with the Republicans during all of their difficulties. And then in March, he said, I'm tired of being a complainer, and if I want to affect change, I got to get involved. But I have not seen any campaign materials of any kind. I understand there is also a libertarian who has filed and will be on the ballot. And that actually helps the Democrat, me in this case, because, I think Rapko leans a little towards libertarian. So they should be canceling each other out in that regard. I'm really excited for Ken's race. Ken Schauer, first of all, he is just a fabulous, stellar candidate. And as well as Electra did 4 years ago, we have to remember what that was like with the Hillary Clinton running and all the smear campaign that went on. Now we've got Joe Biden at the top of the ticket, and he is pretty much universally liked. And I think the opportunity to really grab those unaffiliated voters that Judith was talking about. I know a lot of Republicans have quit and discussed the Republican Party. Most of them become unaffiliates, but I think they're prime and ripe for the taking. And, we have last year's legislative session is considered by many people to be the most progressive one in the history of Colorado. And we had a lot of great things accomplished. It's been so heart-wrenching to see all this having to be defunded and put off another year. We talked about affordable housing. We passed a bill last year which basically brings $40 million a year to affordable housing efforts. The governor needed that money for one of his signature programs on reinsurance, but we were convinced we'd have it this year, and then this came along, and now that money's been swept away again. So what we've done on the legislative side is keeping the placeholder in place. We don't defund completely the cash funds. We leave enough in there to keep it viable, so when good times start coming back, hopefully in the 2021, we can just backfill the budget and get back on with a really progressive agenda. I'm very proud this year that we did get through before we went into recess was collective bargaining for state employees. And that has been something we've been pushing for years, and I think it's a real benchmark achievement this year. Other things like the environmental justice bill, public option for the insurance, paid family leave, they've had to take a back seat. They're not going to go through this year. But I know I got away from the question, so thank you.
Thanks.
Oh, and my opponent's Stan Vanderwerf, who is easily one of the most ineffective county commissioners I've ever tried to do research on. So I'm excited to run against him. He's a very strong supporter of the Orange Menace in the White House. So.
Okay. Ken, the next question is for you. It says, I heard that no Dem has been a county commissioner for 50 years. If this is true, how can we win this now?
Luckily, the demographics here have been changed enough that we actually stand a chance to flip the seat. And we've been slowly chewing away and nibbling away at it with running very good candidates for County Commissioner District 3 over the last multiple election cycles. You've heard the numbers that we were about 3,000 votes short last time. And luckily, I have a really good ace in my hole. It's my IBW union member card. Union members will cross-ticket vote at about 35% of the time to vote for one of their members. And our union density is strong in County Commissioner District 3. So we can look at, I can get Republicans, card-carrying, NRA-loving Republicans to pull out the ballot and mark my name because I am a union member. And we're going to, the state AFL-CIO is going to put resources right here in this area to drum up the union support. So that's, we're gonna bring it to them hard, and we're gonna make them really, really work to lose. It's gonna be beautiful.
Okay, the next question comes, and it says it's kind of more for Mark than you, Ken, but it will be both of you that need to deal with it. With Midland, Michigan, there has been a problem that we see related to dam failure. And there are roughly 1,500 dams in Colorado, 25% of which are at high hazard. This understandably hasn't changed in a dozen years. Wrong time, but is the legislature conscious of this, and are they kind of moving forward to try to help that infrastructure?
I had a little trouble getting the full gist of that question.
Yeah.
So if you could just briefly summarize again what the...
To sum it up, basically there are 1,500 dams in Colorado, 25% of them have been chosen at high hazard. Are you guys looking at fixing those and getting them? What are you gonna do? What are we looking at?
I'd be glad to answer. I still don't quite understand the question. Yeah. I'm sorry.
Is it
125 what?
Talking about?
He's talking about the dam failure in Michigan.
Dam failures. Oh,
there we go.
Damn.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Yeah. So infrastructure is been a chronic and ongoing need in Colorado. And we had really finally started to properly fund our water funds, which is where we handle most of the dam repairs and what have you. We had that discussion at the JBC today talking about transportation. We were able to pull money out of transportation, mostly road projects and others, and put those on hold. But we took a lot less percentage of the money for our dam and water infrastructure needs. I mean, water rules the West. Colorado is no exception. We recognize that. We have to keep funded and we have to keep on pace because we have fallen behind with our infrastructure needs. And that's perhaps one of the most critical needs. So we were on a good pace. We had really ramped up funding and getting projects out the door. And when we made those difficult cutting decisions, that was one area that was left more intact than other, and certainly any other transportation area and infrastructure area. So I think we're going to be holding it together during this crisis time and be poised to come back strong and back onto the same track we had established in the 2019 legislative session.
Okay, and I don't see any more questions. And if somebody wants to raise their hand to ask other questions, I'm happy to unmute people.
Any others?
The next question is, can we as precinct organizers work on ballot initiative campaigns?
Yes, I'm pretty sure that you can, but let me check on that. That's an interesting question. That's not come up before. So let me check on that.
They're specifically asking about the Fair Tax Colorado initiative. So if you want to jot that down, Judy.
Fair tax. Okay. Okay.
That's if that's 271, which I think it is, That is the creating a progressive income tax in Colorado. That would the long and short of it would be it would actually lower the rates for 90% of Coloradans from 4.63 to 4.55 and raise taxes on the top earners in Colorado, projected to bring in potentially $2 billion a year. We are actively discussing that in the legislature right now. We would love to refer that measure because, you know, there's a lot of problems with signature collection right now. The governor issued an order allowing for electronic, kind of a hybrid electronic gathering, and immediately got a lawsuit. So that's potentially tied up and maybe not going to be effective for us. So we are really looking at the opportunity to refer measures out of the General Assembly onto the ballot. That, of course, sometimes that requires 2/3 of people if it's a referendum. Constitutional amendments, though, I believe can be referred with a majority. So we're looking at all options right there, but we are very much interested in Fair Tax Colorado and what we might be able to do in that way. We've even looked at some of the emergency provisions in Tabor, which we are at that point where we could actually enact, without a vote of the people, an emergency tax. And if we do, it will be along the lines of the fair tax parameters. So that's pretty much mirroring what 271 sought to accomplish. I don't know, though, that that has enough political will amongst all the members, because I think that also would require 2/3, which in the House is not a problem, not as big a problem, because we're almost there all by our lonesome. I think we would need 3 Republican votes to get to the 2/3. It's a much tougher road to hoe in the Senate, and that's probably where it's not going to be likely. But we are right now actively exploring how many measures, what type of measures we could refer to the ballot, given that it's going to be near impossible to get your signatures this year.
Yeah, and my concern is, you know, as a precinct organizer, you have all this information on voters in your precinct, but that is really considered confidential information, and it's only to be used for party business. So you really, if there's some initiative out there that you support, but it's not supported and endorsed by the party, you wouldn't be able to use any of your precinct organizer phone numbers, add whatever. You couldn't use any of that information to work on something else. Does that, so that's kind of my thought right now, but I will definitely in the next few days check that out more. But part of it is you can't, and this is a good time just to remind all of you that all this information that you have, it is only to be used for party business, which is primarily electing Democratic candidates. So, you know, you can't use it for anything social or if you have a business or anything like that. And, you know, in all my years of doing this, I've only had one instance where, you know, that had happened. Precinct organizer was using it to promote their business and using that information. So that would be my concern with an initiative, that if you would want to be using party resources, party information, those confidential voter information and lists that you have, that you couldn't do that unless it was party, you know, party supported and party business. But I'll double check that.
That answers my question.
Yeah.
Ken, you wanted to say something, and then we've got a question from Molly. Go ahead.
And let me just interrupt. We're after our hour. So those of you who need to leave, please feel free to leave. Okay. And like I said, email me if you want the list that I have right now of emails, or if you want to get an updated email list, email me and I'll put you connect you with Tim Dolan, who I think is probably the person that would be doing that. Okay. So thank you again. If you have to leave, thank you for being there, for being here. Appreciate it. Okay, Ken.
All right, so I'm just gonna riff on what Judy was saying. I've had to wear multiple hats for many years now, where I was labor and I get my lists from labor, or I was working on an initiative, I get my list from whatever group is organizing and structuring around that. So if they ask me to walk my precinct, I say, you have to cut me the turf. And that way it skips anything. If I need turf as a precinct chair, I would just call up Judy and she would just hook me up. And you keep those very separate, and you make sure that it comes from the appropriate person. They may be identical, I don't care. you have the ask in place, and you make sure that you keep those hats very separate. So that's an excellent question. I like that one. Thank you.
All right, and the next question is from Molly. So Molly, I'm going to unmute you. Go ahead, you've got the floor.
Okay. I was late to the party trying to get in, and just wondered what went on earlier and whether there'll be something written up about this, or what you did at the beginning.
Is we will have all of this has been recorded, and what we will be doing is we will be sharing the recording with all of you guys so that you can rewatch it. We will share it with the other people that could not make it, and that way you have access to the recording. So you will be able to see it again if you would like to see it.
Right.
And I'll just send out, go ahead.
I have one other question about timeline. Are there things we're supposed to be doing at certain time frames?
Yeah, and Molly, I'll be doing a follow-up email to you all. I mean, nothing huge, and it'll probably in the next few days. But basically, our target date right now is the June 30th primary, and working on getting out the vote for that. So I'll review that in the email. Okay, and please call me if you want to just chat about it.
Okay.
And it's really great to hear Molly Williams' voice. It's been too long, Molly, and I don't think we'll be getting over to the Brookdale area, Skyway area this year for any type of candidate forums, but I sure wish we were.
Right. Thank you.
Okay, I'm not seeing any other questions, so.
Okay. All right, well, listen, I want to thank you all for giving up your time this evening and being here. Thank you, Ken and Mark, for running. I've run campaigns, and it is a tremendous, tremendous effort on the part of people to run and be candidates. It affects, their personal lives, their families. I mean, they are really working very, very hard. And so thank you both for being willing to run and be Democratic candidates for us. And just thank you all for being here. Big thank you to Chandra for doing all the kind of technical stuff and helping me run this meeting. And you all just stay safe and stay healthy, okay? Thank you.
Well, thank you, Chandra and Judy especially. I know I'm prejudiced, but I think we have the best House district in the state of Colorado and the best district chair in the state of Colorado. I couldn't feel more fortunate, and I'm so excited to be out campaigning this season with Ken Schauer. I think he's a fabulous candidate and is going to get a lot of support. It's just a matter of really getting our message out there. And letting people know that we're all about what's best for the state of Colorado, the people of Commissioner District 3 and El Paso County. And I think that's really going to resonate this year. And I think usual partisan politics is going to play a backseat this year. It's going to come down to one-on-one relationships and gaining that trust. And I can't think of a better candidate for this race than Ken Schauer. So happy to be working with you again, Ken.
Thank you.
Geez, Mark, I look up to so many of these people that are helping out on this campaign. Judy, you've been an inspiration for years. Mark, it has been such a pleasure to get to know you during this last legislative session and when you were running in 2018. So it's been a real joy. And Chandra, God bless everything you do. It's so phenomenal. So I know that it takes a pretty heavy toll, and I appreciate all your efforts. So thank you for doing this. And thank you, precinct chairs. You have, by stepping up to that plate, you know that you're taking your democracy very seriously. Right. You are the linchpin for every election, from city council to, if dog catcher was a public office, it would start there at the precinct level, and it goes all the way up to the White House. So your work is so critical. It is fundamental to our democracy. And I really look forward to working with you and getting out and making sure that we have the volunteers to man the phone banks, to write the postcards, to do the thousands and thousands and thousands of contacts to the voters that we need. And I really, as you probably can guess, the fundraising during this time has been highly entertaining. So, you know, that's another, just one of those weird asks, and, you know, that's just, that is not pleasant, but if you can, Mark and I could really use a little bit of financial help too. So,
That's right.
and the Democratic Party, of course, they have done a tremendous amount of work in making sure that we have a viable campaigns and that we have the ability to communicate and work together. And they have done a good job of training up people to help us on our campaigns. So I just thank you ever so much for all that you do. So let's go win this one.
All right, and we will wrap this up, and then we will have this go live for everybody to watch again. Thanks for joining us, and you can go ahead and go now.
Okay, great, thank you. And Chandra, can you and I go over a few things?
Yep, can we make a new one and I'll send it to you?
Oh, okay. Cool.
Thanks again. Bye, everybody.
Thank you. Night.
Bye.
Good night, Judith.